Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by ICOM. For more information, visit ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation. And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/HamNation.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 330 for December 20th, 2017. It is our last live show of 2017, and we wish all of you a Merry Christmas. Well, happy holidays, everybody. It's going to be a fun show tonight. I'm telling you, we talk about every week is something special. This is really special. I'm Bob Heil, K9EID, and I'm in our microphone assembly plant, and going to have fun tonight because we're trying to get all of the hosts, or just about all of them, and co-hosts on. You might be on for just a couple of minutes, but you're going to get to see all of them because we're here to wish you happy holidays and very, very Merry Christmas. You guys and gals have been so great all through the years, and we look forward to saying how much we appreciate that tonight. So you're going to hear it. Before I get started, though, I got to tell you something. This is really cool. I got a letter, an email from a relatively new ham, and he has his wishes, and I thought I would share them with you. This is very cool. And there they are. This comes from KE0HYJ, and he's saying, I would like to take up more code, but what should be my first goal in ham radio that I could focus on? Want to join a net group in the morning? And how tight should my dipole antennas be? That's a good question. Which direction should the ends need to be pointed? And I really like the last one. KE0HYJ says, I would like to be as good as Val is in contesting. Oh, boy. That's you have quite a chore if you're going to do anything next to Valerie. How cool. And also, before we get started, very serious, everybody that watches Ham Nation knows we have these beautiful signs behind us. Well, they are done by that gentleman right there on your screen.
Jim!
That is Jim from Jim's Engraving. And Jim had a stroke shortly after this picture was taken. This was taken at the Halloween Hamfest in St. Louis. And he's recovering. He's doing well. And I think just either day before or tomorrow, right in here this week, he's getting moved from the hospital to his daughter's house. We're very, very pleased to hear the news that he's doing well. I understand from the email that he said he's going to kind of close his shop, but not totally. So it's a struggle getting back out of the stroke and all that, but he's doing well, everybody. So we want to wish him so well, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Jim. I'm sure he's watching. So thanks to his daughter to keep him going. So that's kind of some of the story. We'll have a lot more after a while, but let's go down to Costa Mesa. You're okay. The fires are gone, and you never had any problem and stuff like that, Gordo. So let us know what's going on at W6NOA.
Well, thanks, Bob. And yes, the fires are to the north of us, although I've been busy, as well as about 20 other ham volunteers, working our fire watch for our portion of the county to make sure we don't see any smoke coming up down here. But our hearts go out to all of those that were displaced or lost everything in these huge fires out here in Southern California. But yep, we're okay, Bob. Back to you.
Well, I really know that there are so many guys and gals. I get a lot of emails from them, and they're telling us how much you guys and gals are working around the clock to keep the communications going. That's what ham radio is all about. The other thing ham radio is about is keeping up on the news and all the other things. And we have the expert. He does more newscasts in Louisiana than anybody. Don Wilbanks, how you doing, Don? Merry Christmas.
I don't know about. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you. I don't know about newscasts, but I do a bunch of commercials. That's for sure. Hey, I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody, but as well as from our friends at WTWW, the big shortwave station. You know that we're being heard right now on 5085 and also 12.105. And they're having a kind of a cool thing. They do this every year for Christmas. It's the Christmas Radio Picture Contest, and they have prizes, including Heil Pro headset, the MFJ Cobweb, 30-amp power supply, and an ICOM ID51A Plus 2, and a car shortwave radio. And you can actually call in the station, and they'll record a greeting, and you can have it played on the air. And also, you can get the WTWW Christmas QSL card. The number to call is 833-390-5085, just like the frequency. 833-390-5085 at WTWW Shortwave. They're great folks. They're great friends to me personally and to this and to Ham Nation and to everybody else. So by all means, spread a little bit of Christmas cheer and listen to the great Christmas music on a classic radio on WTWW. They play a lot of this Bob Heil guy on his organ too. I don't know if he'll ever make it, but he sounds pretty good. Bob, go ahead.
Well, we try. We're playing Christmas music now. I love Christmas music, and that's what we're doing. And we'll be there Saturday night playing lots of my favorite music, Christmas music. So check it out, 8 o'clock Central on the big WTWW. But to keep all those transmitters going, we need engineers that know what to do. And we got one. He's one of the better. George, how are you doing, W5JDX?
Hi, Bob. We're doing pretty good down here in Mississippi. It is still kind of warm here. It was, I don't know, probably in the 70s today, but it's going to be chilly by the time Christmas gets here. I can't find my Santa Claus hat. I feel naked. Fortunately, I think I'll survive, though. I do have the bow tie, and I have a major award right here. Well, I don't know if it's major. Maybe it's a minor award. But, yeah, we're going to, well, you know, the last couple of weeks I talked about audio, and whenever we get started talking about audio, we get lots of questions. And I helped one of the viewers troubleshoot an issue he was having, trying to interface some gear this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about gain staging.
That's a good thing to do. And we look forward to that because we might need help as we're building the Pineboard. We have a really neat session on the Pineboard tonight, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, Gordo has some real good shots, and they're pretty short, so pay attention. Gordo, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Bob. And Victor, let's go ahead and take a look at all that's happened in ham radio this past year. Wow. The solar eclipse was radioactive. We had hams all over the country saying which direction that the low bands emanated from. And this year, FT8, wow, this is great for digital. Let your computer do the walking or logging. Yeah, very latest in software. The American Radio Relay League announced some changes coming to their amateur radio emergency service, ARES. They're going to formalize it. They're going to get some training going. And that is all good because Bob in Q1R, working there, handshake with a FEMA personnel. We're all in this game together, and we need to have the same dialogue, the same language, the same training. So ARES is going to get a big boost from the American Radio Relay League this coming year. That just came out about 2 days ago. And here you'll see some great ARES communications equipment that volunteers staff, and it's great. We encourage all of you this coming year to take in a ham fest. No, you don't have to wear any special clothes, but get your peepers out because there's going to be some neat things coming. And, of course, always from ICOM America, we always see showstoppers. So for your resolution for this coming year, do a ham fest. You never know who's going to be at a ham fest. Who is that secret person? That's no other than Ray, N9JA, ICOM America's Ray. He gets around the land mobile, amateur radio. I mean, he gets around. Then he's going RV mobile, and we're going to see his smiling face at Quartz Fest. And, of course, this coming year, we want you to do field day. Want you to pack your vehicle, even a small little micro vehicle like this, because when you arrive at field day, we want to see this. And a lot of that gear comes from DX Engineering, all those great masts and stuff like that. Well, Susie's got a new car. It's a smart car, so I don't know if I'm going to get as much gear in that as we had in Janet. KL7MF with Ham Radio Outlet and Chip Margelli in their car. And for those of you thinking of coming up on 470, actually you're going to be going down to 470 kilohertz. Our new band down there is open as long as you work with the power line folks. You do need a little bit of inductive loading. So there is your modest low band setup. All right, Quartz Fest. Yes, we heard about Quartz Fest. This is its 21st, maybe 22nd year. Been there every year, and it's fun. Quartz Fest is out in the desert. Out in the desert, we have a Quartz Fest mascot. And, of course, the Quartz Fest mascot must be properly torched at the end of Quartz Fest. But this year, more mascots and more excitement at Quartz Fest, Arizona, that third week in January. Now, Dayton, Ohio, we just got the word, and it's good word. Well, first of all, yep, we're going to have another big get-together for Ham Nation. Wow, what a crowd that turned out for our Ham Nation talk. And Dr. T was there, and she really captivates the audience. In fact, she's in one of the national magazines, I understand. Don will give you more news about that. But we understand that Dayton has no problem with rain. They wouldn't like rain, but say goodbye to exhibitors in tents. They now have a new building that is being built pretty much for Hamfest, Hamvention. It's first time this coming year to occupy this brand new building, and they're converting another building to a full-sized area for exhibitors. So there will be no more river rolling down the exhibitors' floor in the tent area. So Dayton is going great in its planning. And yep, we'll be there, and we'll blow up a few pickles as well. We got to get more kids into ham radio, and they love the smell of burning pickles. Doing a little bit of CW as well. Got to have fun. There's Ray again, and he always has fun, and he's everywhere. Here he is on the set of Last Man Standing. And, you know, these are the true pioneers that make ham radio happen. Ray and Tim Duffy, they're everywhere, and we so much appreciate their support. Batteries, no longer for 2018 do you have to lug along a big 25-pounder. Now new battery technology. BioInno out here in California makes lithium iron phosphate, and these dudes work. We're going to be talking about AMSAT with new satellites that are going up quite regularly. The Fox satellites really will create some great excitement, and it doesn't take much to work a satellite. So next year, your resolution is work a satellite. And instructors, the American Radio Relay League is getting more and more behind instructor courses. Here we have Martin Jew of MFJ taking part in a little tube exercise. but we want to encourage instructors to have a lot of live gear. Of course, there's our live guy. No matter where we shoot the camera, there's Ray. And what a great guy, because he's coming to Quartz Fest with an RV, with a tower, with antennas, with tons of radio gears for demos. It's always exciting because he just doesn't market radios. He plays radios. Here's another ham that plays radios. And while you may laugh at all of the stuff, his signal down on 160 kicks rear. I would hope so with all that appendages. And, of course, this year we want all of you to clean up your mobile station and get it all nice and clean. We encourage you that when you drive your van away, don't leave the antenna still up. No, I didn't drive away with it up. This is Don's machine, and Don's sooner or later going to poke some holes in the top, or maybe I don't know where you're going to put them, Don.
Now, there's already 2 holes in the roof.
We got to get some antennas on that great Pontiac. What's that, a Trans Am?
Most days.
Yeah, well, anyway, we love it. And so if you got a big black car, you got to show it off. That's the unit we drive when we're doing Fire Watch. And tomorrow morning, we have another Fire Watch assignment. Coming up in July is the new technician class examination. All new questions. No, about 80% are the same regular questions. 20% are new. No, there's no huge diagrams like this. But tell your friends, get the tech license quick, because you never know if the test will be harder coming up in July. I love this. You never know what you're going to find at a ham fest. This is great. A DVD rewinder. Right. Only $1. I don't know what that green stuff is. And for those of us that all use Andersons get tired. And what occurs is the plastic breaks and you have a fuzzy connection. So if you have Andersons, get new ones. Check out DX Engineering. They got the tools, they got the Andersons, they got the wire. So renew your Andersons and make sure they're nice and tight. Don, W6 GPS encourages you all to, if you've not done it yet, think about APRS, Automatic Position or Packet Reporting System, and squawk your position so we can keep track of you. Oh, high winds. Better check your guy lines and make sure that they're nice and secure and not rusted. And because things like this could wake up one morning and you go, whoa, I thought I heard something last night. Luckily, it missed the neighbor's house. And, of course, there they are, Bob and Sarah Heil. You kids, you just keep this show moving. Looks like Sarah's got little antlers on, and that's good. She needs a couple of antlers. And there's Ray. And, Leo Laporte, he's a ham, and he's probably monitoring us right now going home. But what a great supporter this podcast is from the Twit Studios, where Victor is madly doing all the controls. Bob and Sarah again saying, Happy New Year, happy holidays, and happy holidays from Gordon and Susie. And remember, as a ham, you got to ham it up, make things happen. And as happy holidays as we see from Chip K7JA and Janet KL7MF, you got a tower, light it up, get it up, and have fun on ham radio. So all of you, especially in the chat room, listeners and viewers, we so much appreciate you and all your support of Ham Nation. And we've got new stuff coming for next year. Just wait till you see what's going on. In fact, going on right now is Ray probably getting some of his ICOM radios all shined up, getting ready for Quartz Fest. Let's tune in and see what's happening with ICOM America.
Happy HF holidays. Looking for the perfect gift to put under the tree this holiday season? Unwrap one of ICOM's HF transceivers. The gift every ham wants, ICOM's new 7610 arrived just in time to make it to Santa's sleigh. This high-performance RMDR has the ability to pick out the faintest signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The new ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of a SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling system, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. A gift for you or your favorite contester, IC7300 is a high-performance HF transceiver with a compact design,
Don't miss a weak signal with the combination of the waterfall function and real-time spectrum scope, RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great ICOM radios this holiday season.
And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation and register to win great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. While you're there, learn how you can win the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for December, that new radio is the new compact and submersible ICOM ID31A Plus. It's a 5-watt UHF digital transceiver, has built-in GPS, micro SD card slot, of course does analog and D-Star operation, and it's got automatic D-Star repeater list-up function built in, plus a lot more. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation. After this and each episode of Ham Nation, sign up and good luck. And join us again. Well, we won't know who won this one until January, because next week's show will be a special episode, but we'll find out who won this and what's going to be the new prize radio. And don't forget to follow ICOM America, Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And it's that time in the show, yes, where we bring in Les Nessman for the latest ham radio news.
You know, I actually considered using the name Les Wilbanks on the air because that's what my program director said he wanted to hear. Les Wilbanks on the radio. But I digress. You know, I mentioned the WTWW Christmas photo contest. What it is if you've got a shortwave receiver, take a picture of it, especially if it's a classic shortwave receiver. And even if you don't have a classic shortwave receiver, tune in your HF radio to WTWW 5085 and decorate it for Christmas. Send a picture in, and you could be eligible for, like I said, the Heil Pro headset, MFJ Cobweb, a 30-amp power supply, and an ICOM ID51A Plus 2, and a car shortwave radio. You can email those to email@wtww.us. email@wtww.us. Want to make sure you have that information. And now, why don't we go ahead and get the news with Amateur Radio Newsline, and then we'll hear from Dr. T live. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2094, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, December 20th, 2017. The wildfire situation in Southern California remains dire. As Amateur Radio Newsline went to production, firefighters were still struggling to contain the massive Thomas fire in Southern California, where residents were being evacuated. As more evacuations were being planned on account of winds spreading the blaze, the need for ham assistance remained an open situation, especially in Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. Hams were actively supporting shelter communications and staffing at least 4 evacuation centers. Amateur Radio Newsline will continue to follow this story, and updates will be posted on our Facebook page and on Twitter. In other extremes of weather, hams stepped up recently to the challenge of major snow in the American South.
The weather system that dumped the earliest snow that portions of Alabama have had in 54 years may have defied all reliable and trusted weather models, but it was no match for amateur radio. The December 8th snowfall surprised broadcast meteorologists and many at the National Weather Service, but hams had already gone down to helping the Alabama Emergency Management Agency pass along traffic from their various posts at EOC stations around the state. Ham staffing WA4EMA in Tuscaloosa County passed traffic to Aries members in the field across western Alabama throughout the day. One of the state's primary Skywarn repeaters, the regional 2-meter station W4CUE in Birmingham, passed along the reports that went to the Birmingham National Weather Service. In the east, WB4GNA, Alabama's highest 2-meter repeater at Cheaha Mountain, got reports from the east and west, and even from Georgia. The Alabama State Aries net frequencies were also buzzing, especially into Saturday as the snowfall was being tallied up. By Sunday, the city of Jacksonville, Alabama, had the distinction of the highest snowfall recorded, 12 inches in Alabama. Jacksonville is located just west of the Georgia border. The rare snowfall turned out to be tough sledding for many in Alabama, except, of course, the hams. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
Finally this week, a holiday gift from all of us at Amateur Radio Newsline. It's the popular amateur radio interpretation of a Clement Clark Moore classic.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the shack the rig was turned off and the mic cord lay slack. The antenna rotor had made its last turn. The tubes in the linear had long ceased to burn. I sat there relaxing and took off my specs, preparing to daydream of Armchair DX. When suddenly, outside, I heard such a sound, I dashed out the door to see what was around. The moon shone down brightly and lighted the night. For sure, propagation for the low bands was right. I peered toward the roof where I heard all the racket, and there was some guy in a red fur-trimmed jacket. I stood there, perplexed, in a manner quite giddy. Just who was this stranger? Did-it-da-da, did it? He looked very much like an FCC guy who'd come to check up on some bad TVI. I shouted to him, "Oh man, QRZ, hey, you by the chimney all dressed up in red." I suddenly knew when I heard sleigh bells jingle, the guy on the rooftop was jolly Kris Kringle. He had a big sack full of amateur gear, which was a big load for his prancing reindeer. Transmitters, receivers for cabinets and racks, some meters and scopes, and a lot of coax. He said not a word, 'cause he'd finished his work. He picked up his sack and he turned with a jerk. As he leaped to his sleigh, he shouted with glee, and I knew in a moment he'd be QRT. I heard him transmit as he flew o'er the trees, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all 73. Ho, 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 ho. Reporting for Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
And from the Amateur Radio Newsline family, no matter how you celebrate, our wishes for the best to you and yours for the holiday season. And for the rest of this week's Amateur Radio News, please listen to the full Amateur Radio Newsline report online on a repeater near you or on shortwave radio station WTWW at 9930 and 5085 kilohertz. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Stephen Kenford, N8WB, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, and we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Don't you love Jim Dameron's version of the Ham's Night Before Christmas? Just the absolute best. We have the best team, I think, ever for Amateur Radio Newsline, and if Bill Pasternak were alive, he would be so proud of the team that we have. Just the most amazing people, and so happy to call them friends and colleagues. Another one that I'm happy to call a friend and colleague is Dr. Tamitha Skov, who's, is this your second year with us now, Tamitha? I think you've been with us for some time, but we just so look forward to the solar updates and everything. Before you get into that, though, I want you to tell us a little bit about this magazine article that you're in that Gordon alluded to earlier. Tell us a little bit about that. Go ahead, ring your bell. Ring your bell.
Oh, thank you so much. And I apologize. I have a mic on, but it's not working. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but so you'll have to deal with some boxy sounds of me today, and I apologize. But yes, I've had to keep it very quiet. Sarah would kill me if I had let it out of the bag before the article was published. But I have something in Popular Science. I'll actually pull up the screen right now. Someone actually had tweeted it today. I have not seen the actual article itself. This is apparently pulled out in Popular Science. It's a 6-page article. As you can see right there, there's the space weather woman in print. So everybody's telling me this article is wonderful. Sarah flew out from Colorado, I believe it was, and she spent all afternoon with me right here in my studio, and it was so wonderful. She was very fantastic. She knew a bit about space weather and learned a whole lot more while she was here. She asked some really probing questions, and even into how I got the space weather woman name. She made a very cute joke about it sounding like Wonder Woman, and that since my scientific name was Tamitha Skov or Tamitha Mulligan, I had to have an alter ego, because every superhero has an alter ego, it was so cute of her to say that. I thought that just, kind of blew me away. So this is the article. I hope it's really good. It goes over how the amateur radio community is so incredibly important as one of the stakeholders of space weather, why this is the weather of the 21st century. And really, it talks so much about the community, how you all have really, it just kind of lifted me up, and I'm doing my best to lift all of us up in this new endeavor here and create a whole new field for space weather broadcasting. So very hopefully soon, I won't be the only one doing this. You guys will have space weather broadcasters in your own neighborhoods being able to give you the local weather, the local space weather for your region.
Very good. And I understand that the article, I have not read it yet, but I understand that the article actually mentions Ham Nation. So yay team.
Yes. And that was one of the probing questions she asked me. She said, so how did you get involved with Ham Nation? And Don, I jerked your chain a little bit. You're in there.
Well,
so
good.
I wouldn't be surprised if she talks about it.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for that. That's awesome.
And deservedly so, because I want to say, Christmas and the holidays is a time that we all get together and join with families that we haven't seen in so long. And it kind of reminds us why we all are family. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to be part of the Ham Nation family. And I'm so grateful to be part of the overall amateur radio family. You guys have just embraced me with open arms, and I can't thank you enough. So happy holidays from my deepest, deepest heart to yours and your home and your family.
Well, we appreciate you just like you absolutely wouldn't believe how much the amateur radio community and the Ham Nation viewers in particular just, well, you've seen it when you go to these Ham Fest, especially Dayton. They've taken you into their hearts and that is for sure. And I think your New Year's resolution for 2018 is going to be to finally get your ticket. You got to work on that. I know you're busy.
Yes.
You got to work on that. All right.
No, I actually have been working on it. So, and Gordo actually owes me a email to tell me when we want to schedule, because I told him turn of the year, that's one of my Christmas presents to myself is to get my tech license.
I'll remind him of that. All right, let's go ahead and get into the solar weather and see what we've got going on as far as propagation goes. Dr. T.
Okay, so the sun has actually been pretty unpredictable recently. We have a lot of kind of small coronal holes that have been all over the place. We had this part of a filament here. This part of it actually ripped off, and it was supposed to end up giving us an earthward-directed storm, but it just grazed us to the east, so it gave us unsettled conditions. The nice thing is that it actually gave us it actually helped the amateur radio propagation because the magnetic field went northward. So you guys actually have enjoyed some decent propagation. We do have the other half of this filament we're watching. It may actually release. If so, then we might have yet another kind of opportunity for some unsettled conditions. Meanwhile, this big coronal hole here is what we're watching, and as far as solar storms are concerned, that might actually hit us right around Christmas time. Now, the fast wind from these holes have been underperforming, so I'm not necessarily expecting it to be like a big major storm. But at high latitude, you might get some storming. At mid latitudes, it may be just kind of unsettled conditions again. The big player, though, for you amateur radio operators is region 2692. It's that one of these regions that's rotating onto the east limb right here. And it is just beginning to fire off little flares. It's brought up the solar flux as well as the X-ray flux. So we are back right into the middle of the marginal conditions, which is really good considering we're getting so close to solar minimum. So you guys should be enjoying some of better propagation this week and into the next week, easily for the next 10 days or so before things begin to tank. So you should get through Christmas. I'm not sure you'll get through New Year's, but it'll be close. So those are the things there. And then let me go ahead and show you my 5-day outlooks here. So for Christmas, and by the way, I don't have any Christmas hats on, but here's my Christmas hats. I don't know if you can see them here and here. This is for the 5-day outlook for solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities. We're looking at pretty much unsettled conditions at high latitudes with about a 20 to 30% chance of a minor storm until you get to Christmas Day. That's when you're going to be expecting to have minor storm conditions with about a 15% chance of a major storm. Now, at mid-latitudes, we're really only expecting unsettled conditions. We might get to active conditions on Christmas and with about a 15% chance of a minor storm. But again, pretty much unsettled conditions, which oftentimes is good for you amateur radio operators because it stirs up the upper atmosphere just enough to give you some decent propagation. So some pretty good news there. And then if I get to this part here, this is the solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook. Now, over the coming week, we have that region 2692. It's not a threat for big flares, so don't worry about radio blackouts. But it is popping enough, it has enough activity in there that it is putting us back into the marginal conditions. We have about a 75 on the SVU meter here. which will probably begin to go down toward the end of the week. But who knows? If it stays active, we'll stay well into the marginal conditions or marginal levels. So amateur radio propagation should be pretty good. And again, we have no threat for radiation storms. So we're pretty much in the clear there. And that is the story this week. So some pretty good news all through Christmas.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Dr. T, and we hope that 2018 is the best year yet for you and for all of us in amateur radio especially. So just our deepest appreciation for everything that you do for us, and we just appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, and likewise, absolutely, for all of you. Thank you.
Very good. Well, let's toss it over to George and see what's going on with smoke and solder. George?
Well, Don, the last couple of weeks we talked about audio and connecting external gear to your ham radio equipment. And, we did 2 weeks on it. The first week, we actually played a segment I had previously recorded. Second week, we went in and did a little explaining on a couple of different possibilities that you might run into on balanced audio gear. And I got an email from one of our viewers this past week. Someone had given him a nice home stereo equalizer that he wanted to hook to his ham gear. And, he had followed my examples. He had added a transformer to it, and he had added a pot on there to use for a pad to get the level down before he drove the ham rig with it. But he just had hum and a lot of noise. And I was corresponding back and forth with him and, trying to give him some troubleshooting points there so we could zero in and see exactly where the problem was coming in. While we were talking about it, I had just assumed that maybe he had something like, similar to a lot of folks do here. Of course, the equalizer is kind of, some people use them, some don't. Most of your mixers will have some equalization in it. I thought maybe he had something like this, had a microphone, and he was going to feed that to a mixer or a mic preamp, and then go on to his equalizer there, which incidentally had RCA inputs and outputs. And then he had a pad here, and it went on out to his rig, of course, a transformer there too. So, I was having a little trouble understanding exactly what might be going on, so I asked him to test a few things there and, try to zero in on the issue. I just assumed that he had a mixer here or some kind of mic preamp, but he didn't. He had the microphone feeding straight into the equalizer, and then out of the equalizer through a transformer and a pad on into the rig. Well, that's the issue right there, and I don't think I probably didn't describe it in the particular segment that we did recently, although it has been described before. Gain staging, that's kind of important when you're connecting different pieces of gear together in a chain, particularly audio, but also, RF signals, almost any type of electrical signal. So I thought we might take a moment here and look at the gain stage on various audio implements of destruction that you might have laying around the shack or in the house. And let's just look at this. We've got arrows going up and down here that are going to represent at the bottom a very low level signal, at the top a high level signal. If we look right here in the middle, 0 dB, that's a reference level right there. It's 0.775 volts in our particular application right here. It's going to vary depending on the load resistance that you're looking into or the load impedance, but typically is 0.775 volts at 600 ohms. If we look down here, really low-level signals, a minus 80 dB signal is what you would expect from a magnetic phono cartridge, the type that, you'd have on a nice stereo system. Now, a cheap record player or something like that would have a ceramic cartridge in it, so it'd be, a little different signal level. But a good quality magnetic phono cartridge, it's down around 80 dB there. It's quite low. Now, if we move on up a little bit, from, say, minus 20 to minus 60 dB is where microphone levels will typically run. That's still a pretty low-level signal, anywhere between minus 20 and minus 60 dB below our reference level. You'll find microphones in there. You'll also find musical instrument pickups, mostly non-active pickups like a guitar pickup or something like that. They're going to be putting out a signal down in this range down in here, way below our 0 dB reference. If we move on up a little bit, around minus 10, between 0 dB and minus 10 dB is where you're going to find consumer unbalanced line level. That's typically your home stereo gear. This particular equalizer we were talking about with the RCA connectors on it, that's going to be, referenced against minus 10 dB consumer audio level. And that's real typical for anything that you might find around the home. Now, if you move on up a little bit, also 0 dB here, let me just mention that. That, I'm not sure if it's still common, but I know it was just a few years ago. That is the European Pro Audio level. Everything's referenced against 0 dB in European gear. Now, Pro Audio, the balanced line level, is anywhere between 0 dB and plus 8 dB. It can range in here, so that's a much higher level than a microphone would be, as well as, the unbalanced line levels are higher than a microphone would be. Now, Pro Audio gear in the U.S. is going to be typically plus 4 dB. That's gear that's got Canon connectors on it, XLR connectors, or tip ring sleeve connectors like, 1/4-inch stereo jacks that are phone plugs, that type of gear. Balanced audio, plus 4. Now, some broadcast gear, mostly older gear, would be referenced to plus 8, even higher than that, to help overcome some of the RF that might be present in that environment. And then you get on up above there, speaker level. Your headphones first, continue on up, and I don't even have it referenced here with numbers on the scale, but on up from there is you get into power amplifiers like your stereo amplifiers, public address systems, and all such as that. So you can see we got a wide range of signals that we deal with here when we're looking at audio gear. So if we're looking down here at a microphone, it's going to be anywhere between minus 20 and minus 60. I'm going to say most of them are leaning, on down here, a good bit below minus 20. So we can't really take that and feed that straight into an equalizer because, it's expecting something in the minus 10 level. So we're not really sending enough signal into it. So that's why we got the hum and the noise on there, is we just weren't feeding it with enough signal. So what we need to do is, after our microphone, the first thing we're going to need is, if we're going to hook in external audio gear, we're going to need some type of preamp. And if you've got a mixer, there's going to be a microphone preamp built into it. You'll be okay there. Or you could use just a mic preamp by itself. Then you feed the output of that into your equalizer or whatever gear you got there, that the signal conditioning that you want to use. So what we've done is we've gone from, that low-level signal here, let's just say minus 50. We've stepped it up here to where we can get out, from 0 dB to minus 10 to run into our equalizer. But then we've got to step it back down to, minus 40 or minus 50 or whatever we need to feed into our rig. So here we're going to have to put a pad in there to drop the signal down. So essentially, to add this other gear in here, we've got to boost our microphone level up to operate in the sweet spot of this gear. Then we've got to pad it back down to operate in the sweet spot of our transceiver. So that's basically gain staging there. Just something to keep in mind when you're hooking different pieces of audio gear together. You can't just plug connectors in and expect they'll work. You need to pay a little attention to this. You might get a signal through with a level mismatch by turning the gain way up on your mixer or radio or whatever, or turning it way down. You can make it work, but you're not doing yourself any favors, because if you're not operating in the sweet spot of that audio gear, then you're going to have extra noise, hum, or distortion, depending on what the case is. You get your level staged right to where you're going into right level, that gear is going to give you the best performance. So that's my tip there on audio gain staging, something to keep in mind when you're connecting stuff together. Well, last week, you may remember this connector right here. I talked about it a little bit. I said this is a microphone connector, like is typical on so many microphones. Fits right here on the rear. It's a female connector. And I wanted to know what are 3 common names that you might call this. Well, I had a good many folks answer me on that, but nobody really got exactly all the answers I was looking for. Maybe I made it a little too difficult. But almost everybody said this is an XLR connector. That was one of their choices, and that's correct. This is called an XLR connector. You might also call it a Canon connector. That's another common name for it. And the third name is the one that nobody really got. And it's actually maybe because it's a part number. What I was looking for is what you would look for in a catalog. If you were trying to find this connector, you could look for an A3F. And that would tell you that it's a 3-pin female XLR connector. So XLR, Canon, A3F for a female, or A3M for a male. Well, nobody got that, so sorry. I'll try to make it a little bit plainer next time on exactly what we're looking for an answer there. I don't have a contest for next week because we won't be here next week. It'll be a best-of show. But we'll pick back up in January with the next round of questions here and prizes for our viewers on Ham Nation. And now I believe it's time for Don to take care of a little housekeeping for us.
Merry Christmas. As a matter of fact. Yeah, thank you. Merry Christmas to you, George, my good friend. We're going to talk about Rocket Mortgage. And today was a red letter day because during our running around, we put in the envelope, in the mail, the last mortgage payment that we have on our place here. So we're done. No more mortgages. But that doesn't mean that you're done with mortgages. You may just be getting started. And if you are, then you need to check out Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. And they're bringing this episode of Ham Nation to you. You know, the mortgage experience was not keeping up with the times. It was dated. It needed a client-focused technological revolution. It wasn't available, when we had our mortgage or the mortgage on our other house either. But it's there now. So if we have another mortgage, we're going to go through Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage, because Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or financing or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allows you to fully understand all the details and be confident that you are getting the right mortgage for you. It's convenient. Their trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. Man, technology has made getting a mortgage so much easier and less of a hassle. It's powerful, whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th home. Rocket Mortgage is able to perform thousands of calculations in seconds. And based on your income, assets, and credit, Rocket Mortgage can analyze all of your home loan options for which you qualify and find the one that is just right for you. And that's important. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/hamnation. That's rocketmortgage.com/hamnation. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. Rocket Mortgage, we thank you for being a supporter here of Ham Nation. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. And maybe one day you too will be able to pay off your mortgage like I did today. I cannot tell you how happy, such a happy day to pay off your mortgage. And here it's kind of like a Christmas present. Got a few extra dollars in the bank account at the end of the month now from now on for a while. Of course, it goes to something else, but that's not why you tuned in. Let's check out and see what's going on with our friend Dale. Dale, are you there tonight? Merry Christmas, Dale.
Hey, Don, we sure are. Thank you a lot, and a very Merry Christmas to you, and congratulations on paying off the mortgage there. That's a good Christmas present for you. And I hope you have a prosperous 2018 also. Well, on this last Ham Nation episode of 2017, I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you to some of our most prolific contributors to the video segment during the year. After all, the video segment is all about viewer videos, and without you, we would not have a video segment. So because of this, we'd like to send out a thank you to a number of people here, and we'll go through some memories of the best and the most interesting videos from 2017. Starting off with Larry, WA7ZBO. He had a video with his grandson Keaton describing the full eclipse of the sun. That was an amazing piece of video. Jim, W9JUG, did several tutorials, had 3 tutorials on Smith charts. Very important and very interesting. And he also had a video that dispelled the myth that antenna tuners SWR problems. And we all know, well, most of us know they don't. They just pass the problem along and make it look better to the transmitter. But Ron Taylor, WA7GIL, did a DIY video building a 20-meter QRP rig. That was very interesting. He designed it and built it from the ground up. Dan, N9LVS, contributed a number of videos in 2017. His field day and air adventure reports from the Fox City Amateur Radio Club were among the highlights. Larry, WD0AKX, is another one of our main men here on the video segment. He's the ham radio guy on YouTube, and he gave us several informative videos throughout the year. Well, Mike, KC2SYF, did a special report about activating the White House National Park last spring. That was with the South Bay Amateur Radio Club. Mike, KK6GLP, did a field day report from Nyack in California. Don, K4EAE, sent us a link from a local Jacksonville, Florida news station about their field day. That's always a good thing to promote amateur radio. David, KB, 9EWG, gave us an interesting shack tour. Gary, KB9AIT, had a video showing us how to build a pig's tail. That was very interesting. Vance, N3VEM, had a cold video report covering Winter Field Day. That was something else. Kevin, KC7FPF, he's our 40-meter net control guy, and he covered Hamcation at Orlando for us. Jeremy, VA3ZTF, gave us a DIY video on running Windows ham programs on a Mac with Wine. Josh, KG7JK, provided a little look at the Eagle Cap dog sled race in Oregon. And finally, John Amadeo, AA6JA, sent us several videos throughout the year from KA6LMS. That's the station that was on the set of Last Man Standing. So a very good year overall for videos, and those are some of the ideas you might be thinking about if you'd like to contribute a video to us for 2018. I thank you to each and every one of you who submitted a video, and if I missed you on the list, I do apologize. During the past several months, we've been experimenting with SDR radio software and playing with programs running on the Raspberry Pi also. It's been a lot of fun, and with a little luck, and if you'd like to see it, we just may attempt to produce a video or two covering these subjects, but that's all for 2018. Tonight, it's all about saying thank you and celebrating the Christmas season. Esther and I wish you the best for all during the holidays and hope that each and every one of you has a very happy and an extremely prosperous new year. Merry Christmas to all. Let's keep this episode moving now. We'll head on over to Bob's Shack and check out more of the Pineboard project. Bob, Merry Christmas and congratulations on that fantastic cover and article there in the January QST.
Well, thank you very much, and I personally appreciate all you do. It's a lot of work to put the videos together, and you do such a great job. So thanks so very much for being with us. We'll look forward to more during 2018. Who knows what's going to happen? Yes, I'm very proud of this, and I'm proud because of all of us here on Ham Nation. We hit the big time. This is the front cover of the QST. If you're a member of the ARRL, you'll see that. And a 4-page article that was nicely done. I wrote the article, but they jazzed it up with some nice graphics and stuff. And, of course, some of the graphics were done by Gene, W4IQN. You really want to go to our website, heilsound.com. Down at the bottom of the ham radio page, there's probably over 100 pages now. And you want to look up especially the PowerPoint from Chip, K9MIT. Absolutely amazing stuff. But we're very proud. Hundreds of you. Just in the last couple of days, I'm getting so many people because now the magazine came out. So join us and have some fun with building some of these great projects that we're doing on Pineboard. I got a few things that I want to do here at the end of the year, kind of clean up a few things. And first of all, you must understand about one thing with the Pineboard. We're dealing with some high voltage. So one thing you want to do there is respect that high voltage. It's very important. So do that. Make sure you keep one hand in your pocket and rubber shoes and all of that. I'm really proud of this. Check this out. This is Virginia. She is always in the chat room. She's a great Ham Nation fan. She's never built anything. Well, so far she's built the power supply. She's built the preamp. And now she's getting ready to do the transmitter. And this is a good way to do this. She got all the parts, laid them all out, checked them against the part list, and went to Hobby Lobby and got her a Pineboard. And she's ready to go. And I'm looking forward to the report on that. Really, I'm going to be able to work her. She's in Texas, and won't that be fun? Well, we talked a little bit last week about the relay system. And Gene, W4IQN, who does these incredible graphics, he had a really nice idea. And we put this together. And I showed you what was going on, but my internet was terrible last week. So here it is. You'll get a better look at it. And what I did is we're using SO239 for the antenna. This goes to the transmitter. Then I used an RCA to go to the receiver because some of my receivers have RCA. But one of the other things that I want to remind you, and I didn't do this last week, is this coax is very special. This is RG174. Now, write this down. Somewhere along your ham radio career, you're going to want that. It's a little bit difficult, but you can find it. And you'll see it's very small, but it's 100% silver shield. It's 50 ohms. And when you're running a lot of QRP and low-powered stuff, it's gorgeous stuff to be able to wire around. If you tried to do that with RG58, or you couldn't do it with RG8, It'd be crazy. Well, here it is with RG174. So you want to take a really close look at that. The relay that we're using, this came from Gateway Electronics. Gateway has a lot of stuff in St. Louis, and that's we call it an ice cube. You can get them in all different voltages. This one is a 110 volt coil. And we bring those coil wires out to these two terminals, and those two terminals are then fed from a new switch. We put a double pole, single pole switch in the transmitter, so that one side of that switch turns the B plus on and gets the transmitter on the air. The other side keys the 110 volts that turns the relay on. That's how it all goes together. And here's a nice schematic that Gene did for us. Lays it all out for you. Here you can see the double pole, two poles. It's like two totally different switches in one case. One side of it keys the relay. Now, he did another thing. He let the other side do a pilot light. So there's a lot of things you can do with it, and we went through some of those last week. But I wanted to show you what can be done with this. Here's Gene's. He put it in a box because he's putting all of his pine boards in very, very nice cabinets, and that too can be done. This is a very, very nice way that he did that. Again, it's the relay system we just talked about, and he put it in with the transmitter. And you too can do that. When you start building your transmitter, leave a little space on the corner, and bingo, you're ready to go. I also have had a couple of guys kind of got a little upended on this power supply. We started out with a tube, a 6X5, and I did that because I wanted to teach you about tube rectifiers. But if we use a solid state rectifier, and it looks just like that, it's a little black box with 4 wires coming out of it. If we use that bridge, there are 4 diodes in there, and we have a full wave bridge rectifier. Disconnect the center tap, and instead of getting the other one was about maybe 180 volts, we're getting 350 volts. So what we do there, and this works out like really, really, really good, the 350 volts feeds the transmitter, because the transmitter can, we need that extra power, of course, whereas the lower voltage can feed the preamp. And that's just super. It works so well. And 33K, there was a discrepancy on that too. There was a typo, actually, that it was 3.3K. No. It was 33K. You can tell from the colors on the band. But this is a wonderful, wonderful power supply. It just works so well. There's a schematic, a simple schematic of it again. These are such great drawings. And these are all on that website. And last but not least, here's the parts list. But I have to tell you, I got a call from Antique Electronics today. They've sold out of a lot of things. They says, what happened? I told you. I said, we have a thing coming along that's going to 100,000 people. It's called QST. And they were kidding with me, but they couldn't keep up. But they, don't fear, they have Hammond in Canada makes a lot of the transformers and chokes and stuff, and they will have them back. And he said, holidays kind of slowed them up a little bit here, but he said in another week or two we'll have all the parts back in. So there's where you get the parts. Antique Electronics Supply. They actually have kits. You can do the 3 kits. The AM transmitter, and the part number is PBH PBAMT. I don't know what happened to the computer, but it decided to shift it down here. The power supply is P for Pineboard, Bob Heil, power supply. P, Bob Heil, mic preamp. Pretty simple, but there you are. The crystals come from AF4K, and all the tubes come from vacuumtubes.com. Mike's a good guy. And the choke at this point, Antique Electronics ran out of it, but Online Components. They also have a lot of components. You want to look around. There's a lot of companies. I get once in a while a few of these doom and gloomers. Oh, you can't get parts. Well, yes, you can. There's a number of places. I've found probably 15 places that have parts like this. You got to dig for it. But there they are. And we're just so happy. We're so happy and very, very proud of what happened here. And I want to tell you guys and gals, if you don't belong to the ARRL, I'm going to give you a little sermon here. Do it. It really means a lot. The QST was kind of dormant for a number of years. They have a whole new regime there. The magazine is fabulous. They started putting really good articles in there about building things and how they all work. Please do me a favor, join the ARRL. And I joined it when I was, 20 years old, and something like that. I did a life, and of course, it didn't cost very much then. But if you are so inclined, do a life membership. But do a membership in that. It's really, really something, because they're up there fighting for us in Washington. So next time you have a problem, contact them. They'll help you. But I'm really proud of this whole thing. This year went way over what I thought it would be. I started, if you remember, I started building that little field strength meter. And the first thing you know, bingo, Virginia was actually one of the first. And I thought, we got to do more. And so we have. And thanks to Victor for pulling down all the clips. Like, he'll pull this clip down tonight and send it to me, and it'll be on that website, on the Heil Sound website. And it's down at the bottom. It has nothing to do with our microphones and stuff. It's all on its own, as he showed you here a minute ago on this screen. Thanks to everybody. Keep those soldering irons hot, and you'll find me on there on AM 3885. And respect the AM window, please, please. A lot of guys and gals don't understand that there is a gentleman's agreement. 3870 to 3890 is all for AM. And it's just a gentleman's agreement. We don't put sideband, CW, anything there. It's all reserved for AM. And the reason that happens is that AM is kind of a little wider, so we just take that portion and we don't go anywhere else. And you got a lot of space to go in with sideband and stuff. So respect the AM window. So that's what I got from here. And I guess we're going to move up a state and talk to the Queen of DX, Miss Valerie. How are you doing, Valerie? Merry Christmas to you and Jerry.
Merry Christmas to you and Sarah as well, too. Thank you, Bob. I know you touched on this earlier, that the low bands are open, and they are. I just worked 9 Mike 2 Alpha X-ray at our sunset today on 80 meters CW, and boy, was he loud, and that's West Malaysia. Also, in the last 48 hours, I managed to work Thailand and India on 80 meters and China on 160 meters. And so for those of you who don't know, I'm in the Midwest, which it's really hard to get into those 24, 26, 28 zones. So get on the air if you can, because those low bands are really sounding good right now. I also want to give a shout out. I belong to a lot of clubs, one of which is the Northern Illinois DX Association and NIDXA, and they're celebrating their 50th year as a club. And in honor of that, we're having a special event station, November 9. Now, all our members are on all bands, all modes. So get out there and help work November 9. If you go on a QRZ, you can learn more about that under N9N. And you'll get a really nice QSL card. And if you work more than one station, they're going to have certificates available as well. And speaking of certificates, in case you missed last week's show, We had a bit of a trouble getting the website up that can print your Ham Nation 300 certificates. So I'm doing those manually. So shoot me an email. If you earned a certificate, send me an email, nv90@arrl.net, and I will get you a certificate. I have the master log, so I can tell if you earned a certificate or if you earned a clean sweep. So go ahead and send me an email. I'll get that out to you as soon as I can. Also, after Bob showed that Christmas list, Jerry and I thought, well, we would send out an invite to Kilo Echo Zero Hotel Yankee Juliet, the gentleman with the Christmas list. Whenever we have a contest, you are welcome to come to one of our and contest with us. So I'm not sure how far away you're, Zero, so I'm going to guess somewhere between 200 to 400 miles. So it might be a hike for you. But if you want to come over and contest with us one weekend, you're more than welcome to do that and see how we do it here on the farm, on the antenna farm. So I'll send you an email in case you're not watching. Also, just want to say 2017 has really been a great year. I got to do a lot of traveling for my adventurous spirit. And, of course, for my hobby, we went to a lot of hamventions and things like that. And I was also able to do a couple of trips this year to feed my soul. My son and I went to help out with animal rescue for Hurricane Harvey. And ARRL, I was lucky enough to be picked to go with the Red Cross to help out with Puerto Rico. And speaking of which, I just got this in the mail today with a really nice letter signed by Rick Roderick from the ARRL. And I don't know if you can see, it's a little medal for thanking us for our service in Puerto Rico for Hurricane Maria. So that was very cool. And thank you very much, ARRL and Rick. Appreciate it. And I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year. And I want to thank all the hosts on this show. You guys do such a wonderful job. Bob, Gordo, George, Randy, Dale, Amanda, Dr. T, Don, and the Amateur Radio Newsline team behind the scenes with Don. I also want to thank all our after the show net control operators. You guys are there every week without fail, and you really help promote the show. And I really want to say thank you to you guys and Merry Christmas as well. And of course to Victor and everybody at TWIT. Thank you so much for giving us this platform. Ever since I've been on this show, my life has just changed so much. So I really appreciate Bob discovering me and bringing me on the show. And I also want to thank our sponsors because we wouldn't have a show without them. So ICOM and DX Engineering and Rocket Mortgage, want to thank them as well for helping us to put this show on the air. And of course, last but definitely not least, our viewers. Thank you guys so much for watching us and keeping this show on the air, and of course our listeners at WTWW as well. So thank you to everybody. Merry Christmas to everyone, and may you have a wonderful 2018. So now I'm going to pass it to Amanda.
Hey. Oh, it's so hard to follow up with that, Valley. I feel. Show me your Oscar again, because it's amazing. No, I'm not even making fun of you. It's just, it was such a great thank you speech. We can't follow up with that. It was really great. Wait,
can I say one more thank you?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jerry. You've changed my life. My life is so much better since I met you. Yeah, and Beasley too.
I was just gonna say, throw Jerry in this photo right now. Jerry, come around, hug Val, say thank you.
Jerry, come here and hug me, they said.
Yeah.
Come on, Jerry.
He's been really busy today working outside, so he doesn't.
There he is.
There's the guy.
Nice.
Man, Jerry. He is, and Jerry. Jerry was he was so busy when he went to Puerto Rico. He says, "I've got to man this farm, and just let me know she's doing okay." And he's such a trooper. Just go ahead, go to Puerto Rico. I'll man the farm. It's cool. We're good. You guys are a great team. And I think a lot of ham radio people look up to you guys and really appreciate everything that you do. Not to mention everyone else on the show, because we've got such a stellar cast here. And my sentiments exactly. Thank you to our viewers, because we would be talking to nobody except for computer bots if it wasn't for our viewers. You really make this, and you bring the content to us. So when you do have suggestions of things you want to learn about and things you want to know, you bring them to us. You give us questions, or me questions, in the chat room. And we couldn't thank you enough, because without you, we'd have nothing to talk about except for our last QSO. And nobody wants to hear about those mostly. I'd like to thank Jeff as well. Come here, Jeff. I made him put on a hat. I did.
Yeah,
I did. He hates it. He was ready. I pre-planned. I said, you're going to come in here and say hi. And of course, then I said, well, you got to get the dogs too. But the dogs are so uncooperative. I'm telling you right now. But they're love and joy, and they don't interrupt most of our QSOs, which is nice. And let's see what else. I have not seen Star Wars yet. We're hoping we're going to go this Friday and celebrate our 11th anniversary. Oh, here's one of them. There's Delta. Say hi. Look right there. Okay, he'll grab the other one. And while we're waiting for radio to come in and say hello, I'll mention the nets are going to be on 7192 tonight and 3825 on 75 meters. There's radio. Look, there's those ears. There's those ears. Get him up there. Good boy. He's a good boy. Love those ears. And again, I'd also like to thank all of our net controls this year. They really take on a pretty big burden to sit there for an hour and a half after we're done with the show and take all the check-ins, whether it's on D-Star, which is on 14 Charlie tonight, by the way, or Echo Link on D-Drop In. And now we've got the new DMR TAC 311 net, which is going on right now as well. They put a lot of time into that, and those net controls really just handle it. Nothing. I mean, it's no sweat off their backs. They're pretty experienced, and they learn a lot, and they meet so many of our viewers, and I'd like to thank them for doing that every single week. It's really great of them. They do a stellar job. They really do. And it's not something I would want to commit to every week, but Kevin, Steve, Dave, Jeff, and there's some people I'm missing. You guys all, Andrew, you guys all do a wonderful job. So with that, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. I'm looking forward to spending it with my family, and I hope you guys are too. And there's other things too. There's the CW night over New Year's. I think a lot of people really enjoy doing that contest. So have fun on the radio. I get the week off, so I'll be on the radio a little bit and catching up on a lot of things here at the home. So that's all I have. Bob, back to you.
Very good. Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, don't forget the AM rally on New Year's Eve. Yeah. I kind of missed that because I'm playing the organ here at the Lincoln Theater. I play the New Year's Eve show. That's the 21st year I've been doing it. But 38, 80, 85 along in there. There's a lot of things going on, a big iron night. Well, we've had a wonderful year, and all of us have to thank Leo Laporte and that incredible staff. You know, they're just amazing, and we're thrilled that we're able to be here on the air with them. And you guys and gals continue to support watching us. So that's what it's all about. We're trying to bring you information, and you bring us the questions, and boy, we try to answer them. That's for sure. Well, thanks so very much. I know it's been a long night. Victor, you're a trooper. I wanted to get some of the hosts. We couldn't get a couple of others. I wanted to have Randy with us. We'll have Randy on soon, K7AGE. He's such a help with building things and so on. He's really great, but we just ran out of Skype patterns tonight, so we really scrunched it. But we'll get you back again real soon, Randy. So be careful out there, everybody. We're going to go get in our sleigh and, oh, wait a minute, that's not right, and take off and go home and see if we can turn on a radio and listen to see what's happening. So 7-3, Merry Christmas, and we will be here next week, but it's going to be the best of. If you haven't voted for it yet, please do so. Go to the TWIT website and vote for the best of the year. And that's what's going to play next Wednesday. So we will see you live back here in 2 weeks. Until then, we are out of here for now. This is Mount High EID, and I say Merry Christmas to everybody.